Stop me if you've heard this before. Clayton Kershaw has back problems. LeBron James and the Lakers talk contract extension. And a college football recruiting guru says Malachi Nelson's interest in leaving USC is real. His source? Nobody. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. Nobody. It's August 5th, 2022. I'm still stuck in Omaha, Nebraska. I'll be traveling back west to be with the people who love me tomorrow. But let's talk LA sports. If you like the content we've been putting out, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new clips. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. I work overnights. I got nothing better to do. And so before we go through the news and the notes, and we've got a ton to get to, let's take a quick look at the scoreboard. Well, Dodgers have completed yet another 4-game sweep of the San Francisco Giants. That's 8 wins in a row. Dodgers 5, Giants 3. You remember how everybody was all hype on the Padres, saying, oh my God, they're the greatest team ever, they'll never lose after those trades? Yeah, the Dodgers have actually increased the lead. Good going, national press. Dodgers have a 12.5 game lead in the NL West. The Padres are going to be in town this week. They're going to play the Dodgers at 7 p.m. tonight. But even if the Padres sweep the series, the Dodgers will have a 9.5 game lead with less than 9 weeks to go. So I'm going to repeat something I said in our trade deadline special clip that I posted earlier this week. The Padres want to build a powerhouse. The Dodgers are a powerhouse. There's a big difference there. Now, by the way, in tonight's matchup, Tony Gonsolin takes them out. He's 12-1. Sean Manaea is 6-5. And if anybody even remotely cares, which I doubt they do, the Sparks will play Atlanta at 4:30. So we're watching the Dodgers play the Giants yesterday, and it gets to the 5th inning. Kershaw's doing his little warm-up tosses, and then he stops. And the trainer comes out, and on a video clip, you can see Kershaw mouth the words, "It's my back." Now, we don't necessarily know how big of a deal this is yet. He didn't finish the game, obviously. Clayton Kershaw has a lengthy history of back issues. It goes all the way back to 2014. And he has, on at least 4 occasions, missed over a month due to spinal-related issues. And Dave Roberts is being upfront. He's like, we don't know how bad it is, but an injury list stint is very possible. So, the question I have for you guys is, when is a problem not really a problem? Because this could be a problem. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Kershaw had a resurgent year. He was a starter for the All-Stars, for the National League All-Star team. And you want experienced pitchers on the mound when the playoffs come around. On the other hand, the Dodgers still have a pretty good big 3 of Julio Urias, Gonsolin, and Tyler Anderson. And they have injured starters, assuming that they're coming back. You have Dustin May and Walker Buehler. And you also have Andrew Heaney, although he's often injured. So is it a problem, or is it not really a problem? So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not going to freak out because the Dodgers have that 12.5 game lead. They're probably going to get the first round bye in the playoffs as well. And you have these players coming back. We need more information before we decide whether or not we should panic. Speaking of Dustin May, Dave Roberts said he's going to get 2 more minor league rehab starts before considering promotion to the big leagues. Chris Taylor, on the other hand, might be activated for tonight in the opener against San Diego. LeBron James is officially eligible for a contract extension now. Now, his reps said that discussions with the Lakers, they're productive, they're ongoing, but there's nothing imminent. LeBron's current deal ends after 2023, but I'm going to be honest. I'm starting to wonder how much of a deal it really would be if LeBron goes. I'm not saying he sucks, and I'm not saying his best days will never come back again, but he will be 38 in December. That is not insignificant. In addition to that, he's been playing the press and frankly playing us about what his future holds. He's given 4 possible futures and swore that that's exactly what he wants, right? He tells Mark Stein, the former ESPN reporter, oh, I love being in LA. I want to end my career in LA. Then he turns around and starts talking about ring chasing with the Golden State Warriors or another elite team. Then he starts talking about, you know what, I really, really want to retire playing alongside my son. And the Lakers aren't necessarily going to draft Bronny. And then, oh, you know what would be a great idea? I just want to bring it all full circle and end my career where it began in Cleveland. So do you really want to put up with all that? For a guy who may not be, he's still a terrific player, still an elite player, but he's not the number 1 player in the world now. It's a legit question. Now, ESPN analyst Jalen Rose is saying the Lakers know LeBron isn't leaving, but Jalen Rose doesn't know a damn thing. His analysis tends to be complete crap. He often says, like, you take the NBA draft. Every pick in the NBA draft is great, according to Jalen Rose, because he's going to make a lot of money. You don't draft somebody to give them money. You draft somebody to win basketball games. Jalen Rose just never knows what the hell he's talking about. USC football commit quarterback Malachi Nelson, his interest in leaving SC for Texas A&M is, quote, real, according to a recruiting website guy. He has no inside dope, though, because the source he cited doesn't know Malachi Nelson at all. We don't even know if he knows Texas A&M. If it's going to be an unnamed source, could you at least say he knows the guy, right? How do you know I'm not the unnamed source? So no, I don't believe necessarily this. I do think Texas A&M poses a threat, but this just sounds like a little quick clickbait quote, a clickbait article to get USC and Texas A&M to try and find the inside dope when this guy clearly doesn't know squat. By the way, speaking of the Trojans, Tony Baselli will be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's the first Jacksonville Jaguar, but before he was drafted by the Jags, he was obviously an elite offensive lineman at SC. And Coach Lincoln Riley is saying that the Trojans are injury-free going into training camp this morning. By the time you see this clip, by the way, the Trojans will already be in their pads doing whatever they need to do. Athlon Sports let coaches talk off the record in the Pac-12 to rate other programs. Now, they also spoke at length about UCLA. The Pac-12 coaches, they really like Dorian Thompson-Robinson, but they clowned the Bruins for missing a chance to overtake USC in terms of being the big lion in LA, if you will. They took Chip Kelly to task for relaxing his recruiting. There are holes in the roster due to lack of aggression, according to these opposing coaches. Also, that Chip Kelly can still scheme, but he's not necessarily an innovator now. Another person who went off the record said that Thompson Robinson is still too streaky, that Charbonnet is a stud, however, but the defense also doesn't scare you. So you're getting mixed reactions on how good UCLA actually can be. Should be okay, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be world beaters. NFL Network's Ian Rappaport said that Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford is dealing with elbow tendonitis. Now, Sean McVay didn't confirm it, but at least with that much information, I can understand it a little more. I'm certainly no quarterback, but I have elbow tendonitis. Please keep the self-love jokes to yourself, of course, about having elbow tendonitis. And if the way that I've been told to treat elbow tendonitis is pretty much what Matthew Stafford is doing. Give it rest, some anti-inflammatories maybe. So I'm not going to try and tell you that he's going to get cured, but I can say that with that information, I can honestly understand why the Rams are not freaking out over it. Meanwhile, backup quarterback John Wolford has stepped in, and people are commenting saying, oh my God, he's really connecting with Allen Robinson. That tells me more about Robinson's abilities than Wolford, to be frank. Converted wide receiver Jacob Harris also strained his groin, so he's going to be out a couple of weeks. Now, this is actually posing a small problem for the Rams as well, because if you think about it, they're down Jacob Harris. Now, they're also down Van Jefferson. So the battle to start the season as the number 3 wide receiver is going to intensify between Tutu Atwell and Ben Skowronek, because the Rams run a lot of 3 receiver formations. The LA Galaxy have signed Ricky Puig. I've made a mistake. I thought it was Puig because that's how it's spelled. It's Puig, which rhymes very closely with something that happens to teenage boys when they get simultaneously happy and embarrassed. Puig. I'm starting to wonder how that first goal celebration is going to go down at Dignity Health Sports Park. It could get a little messy there, guys. Bring a squeegee and a lot of hand sanitizer. But regarding Puig, what did the Galaxy do now? Because I've been trying to figure it out. He's 5'6", so he can get muscled around a little bit. But he does utilize quickness and cleverness to get around defenses. He was originally fashioned as a Lionel Messi type. Clearly that's not true. Otherwise, FC Barcelona wouldn't have been so cool on giving him up. He's not going to be a designated player according to the contract terms, which means LA will not be forced to part with Douglas Costa, Kevin Cabral, or even Chicharito. But that does mean the Galaxy will have to part with players that you do like in order to keep them. Now, we don't know who's going to get cut, and we don't even know exactly where in the midfield Puig is going to play. Because if you look, the Galaxy isn't saying anything. And I went and I looked at FC Barcelona's depth chart. Puig is lined up as a defensive midfielder, but he's an attacking midfielder with the Galaxy. You would think Puig would line up in the middle, in the center of the midfield, so that he could dish out to either Cabral or Costa or Chicharito. But in the FC Barcelona depth chart, and they ran with 3 midfielders, he was on the wing. He wasn't the center midfield. So we don't even really know yet where he's going to wind up lining up. Greg Vanney has some more work to do. Meanwhile, LAFC tweeted with this little video clip where they were mailing their cap out to somebody. Now, that's a tip-off that they've signed somebody that they allegedly want really bad. They did it when they got their first head coach. They sent the cap to Bob Bradley. They sent the cap to Gareth Bale just so they could do this. For a stupid Twitter clip. Now, I think we might have solved the cliffhanger. The person that they've signed is apparently, as a designated player, is Denis Bouanga of Saint Etienne from France's Ligue 2. Now they're saying it's huge, and it may very well be, but the team was relegated. Saint Etienne was relegated from Ligue 1 last year. So I'm going to wait and see. And besides, LAFC's got tons of attackers. To make up space on the roster, by the way, LAFC sent Ismail Tajuri Shradi to the New England Revolution. Photos of a buffed out Kawhi Leonard are surfacing for the Clippers, and I don't know why they're trying to impress me. I do not care about his pecs. I only care about his ACL. So stop sending me the semi-nude photos. Put the baby oil and the Speedo away, dude. Just don't. That's not how I spend my weekends. Now, if you enjoyed today's broadcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We are trying to build something for LA sports here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll see you tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.